Hello, Active Sage here on the Sage channel, and I'm here today to show you something that, well, you might have seen if you saw my video about changing the time of day on a planet, which, by the way, that happens to be client-side only, so don't think you can do that on a server, even if you're admin, only you shall see it. That's right, if you saw that video, you know exactly what we're coming up upon right now. These are my new Sage Towers. Okay, you might not have known the names, but you knew the overall look. This is basically my equivalent of the Sage Station, except for a planet. And currently it's just colored gray. And I'm probably going to actually leave it as gray for the time being, as I couldn't seem to come up with the color scheme I actually liked. Maybe I'll turn it to sort of a dark blue in the future, but for right now, it's staying gray. Basically, just like a Sage Station, this is a starting point that you can spawn into a world, and it's supposed to have the basics you need to survive in. Now, currently it doesn't really have all the actual supplies you need, like ammunition and stuff like that. The original reason the old Sage Stations had that in them was simply because, well, in the old days you couldn't really spawn that in. You could only copy and paste. So you'd build one and copy and paste it a bunch, and then you'd blueprint that. That way you could copy it to a new world and have it all. With the ability to copy and paste, it's not, well, with the ability to spawn stuff in, I should say, it's not so important to have that anymore. But this does have a cargo container, a reactor, a refinery, and at least 2 assemblers set to work at, well, as quickly as they possibly can work. I should also point out that when I go inside it, I'll actually show you all that and, well, the actual setup. It does also have a medical area. Like I said, when I actually post the blueprint online, the version that goes up will actually have some uranium and a few little components in it. That way you'll actually be able to get started with it. Anyway, let's go ahead, and this isn't actually the final version one. This is very close to it. You'll notice that the stairwell is going up and down. And if we were to fly over to the final one over here, you'll notice that the stairwells going up and down have this little tiny entrance right here. I say entrance, a connection port. So if you want to get stuff in and out of the facility, you don't have to go all the way up all of the stairs if you're out of hydrogen. And this is the same on every side. You might ask why there's so much space here. Well, that's because most of the workings are in this, and because you can now copy and paste structures into the ground. I wanted to be able to copy and paste this, well, into the ground on pretty much any terrain, including hills. So that's why if I was to look over to our right there, and rotate our view a little bit, you'll see that this version is originally elevated from where I built it, but you'll notice that if we fly under here, the great majority of this is open space. That way when it is placed in the hill, you don't have to worry about the hill clipping into the actual living and working area, which is in this section here. And we can actually turn on our spectator light now. Yay! I should also point out that if we were to fly back over to this finished version here, and look under it, you'll see a few more pipes that weren't in the previous version. That's just the ones that lead out to those connectors on the sides. Anyway, let's go ahead. I'm going to push an F6, get to our character inside, and you'll see right away that, well, it's a Sage Station. Of course it has to have some dead space markers in it. I couldn't help myself. In fact, it used to be a little bit more beautiful when the lights were out here. You could actually see the red glow from in between the different pieces. Unfortunately, we seem to have lost that when I put all these nice red lights in. Also, you'll notice that on all the sides, which is something I'm sure you saw outside, is we do have doors all about here. And a passageway leading down. We'll go down in a minute. First, we're just going to fly up. It's largely just a, well, a cathedral-esque structure here that leads all the way to the top. You'll see that we have our singular antennae stuck right here at the top of the place, and just some random windows to, well, give the very odd shape that this place has. Anyway, you've seen the top. There's not too much to see up there. Well, pretty much nothing really. It's almost like an actual cathedral, like I said, where if you sometimes look up at the very tops of areas, there'll be little tiny gaps in the spaces where nothing is really stored, and you can't really access them too easily. Anyway, heading down here, we'll go ahead and go through one of the doors here. No airlock doors here, unfortunately. This place is really built to be, well, either that whole area and the whole station is depressurized, or it's meant to be kept probably on a pressurized world, even though we do have vents. We did actually walk past a vent right here. As you can see, we have a vent there. And actually, I would point out that, like I said, these doors, just a single one. Maybe I'll tweak it, but for the time being, it's just going to remain as is. So just remember, not exactly the best thing to place on a world that doesn't have its own atmosphere. Then again, last time I checked, you can't actually have a pressurized structure on a planet without atmosphere anyway, it just doesn't count. Anyway, coming down here though, you'll see that right in front of us, if we were to hover up, this is actually our refinery stuck right in here. Quite the sight to see when you just walk in. Then we also have our two assemblers. They're stuck behind these, what is this, effectiveness units, I think? What are they actually called? Productivity units, so they make them work faster. So we got two of those there. Piping is all under the ground, so it goes down and connects everything together. We got 3 hydrogen things here to keep everything working. For some reason, you're saying we don't have oxygen. Oxygen low. Oh my god, did they change it? So you can now actually have oxygen in these areas? Well, these things are set to pressurize, so they should be pressurizing the rooms. Interesting. So I guess they did change that, so you can actually pressurize an interior space. Huh, yeah. Wow, that's cool. I'm glad they did that. I'll keep that in mind when we're doing our survival stuff in joint survival. We can actually pressurize stuff on the alien world now, I'm assuming. As I said, though, we got our hydrogen stuff. We got 2 cargo containers right here, just to store everything you need, and a little walkway in between them. And then over here we have all of our oxygen stuff and our 3 oxygen generators, which of course can also produce hydrogen. And they're all, once again, connected to piping below. We also have our respawn bay right here. And I'm using, what's his name? Talbone? Talbone. T-L-B-O-N-E. I'm using his character model because, well, Turians are just awesome. Pretty cool. Of course, we do have, as I just said, though, our medical respawn bay there. And then our singular reactor that powers everything. And I think it's just about enough for everything. In fact, it should be more than enough, considering it is a large reactor. And like I said, before I put this on the workshop, I'm going to put uranium in here and maybe a few tools or something in the cargo containers. No promises on that one. So yeah, there you go. That is just a quick tour of... And by the way, once again, here's all the piping down below so that I can understand maybe a little bit of how it's all set together. Everything's connected up, basically. But that is my Sage Tower. And I do like the fact that when I shut off your actual light, you can see the inside glowing sort of red. And let's go ahead and do an Alt F12 real quick right here. Go to render and just go click our atmosphere and set it to night. That way you guys can just see what it looks like at night. There we go. And hide this now. There we are. I really do love this place. It's pretty damn nifty. I should also point out that in my recent update video I said I was having FPS issues. I thought I'd restarted, but apparently not. I restarted again and they seem to be fixed. Very odd. Anyway, guys and gals, that is that. Pretty awesome. If you'd like to go ahead and have one of your own, there should be a link in the description down below, so you can go ahead and get yourself a Sage Tower version 1. I'll probably put out some different ones in the future, as you can see a few shapes to the right side here. Now, I was working on a few different designs. Who knows what will happen with those, though. It's a real shame that one ladder mod isn't in the full game. Hopefully that'll get added someday or something similar. Anyways, thank you a bunch for watching, and I shall see you guys and gals next time. Ta-ta!